Hello there, my stamping friends. Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have a Stamp and Show and Tell project to share with you today. Today I'm going to be using a sketch that was shared with the Casing Tuesday sketch. This was a few weeks ago, where she's broken down a catalog sample. So this one actually was broken down from the spring catalog on page 76, where this beautiful thistle stamp set. But I'm going to recreate with just the sketch part, okay? So as you can see, the sketch is a standard size card, but it's got this diagonal cut on the front, and I'm going to show you how I accomplish that with my designer series paper. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to be using Playing with the Rain as my stamps and sentiment, and I'm going to be using quite a few of those dies when I get there. And I'm using the Awash with Beauty designer series paper, so not the coordinating paper for the bundle, but a different set that I thought was a really great springtime card set. Okay. So I'm going to use these two different papers as the front of my card, and what I'm going to do is I have two that are 4 by 5.5, so that's our standard size card front. I'm going to keep them together, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a pencil, right, and I'm going to mark it at 2.5 inches, I believe that's what she says, yeah, 2.5 inches here, so just a little mark there with my pencil. I can erase it later, and then 1.25, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes up on my 1/4 inch grid sheet and mark it right there. Okay, so I can see it. Then what I'm going to do is while the papers are still together, because I want to cut them at the same time, I'm going to put this in my paper trimmer, and what I'm going to do is here's one mark and here's the other mark. So I'm going to turn this in my paper trimmer and line up my marks with the cutting line, okay, the blade line right in there, and then put that down. Now I'm not having it bumped up to my spacer, so I really have to hold it firm. Okay, I can do that with my guide, and then I'm just going to cut them at the same time. So I cut 2 pieces of DSP at the same time, but that way their cuts are going to match exactly. And what I'm going to do is alternate which one I'm using on the front of my card. So I can either do flowers on the top and this pink on the bottom, or I could do pink on the top and flowers on the bottom. So whichever way I want to do my card, or I can make 2, right? So I'm simply going to put those on the front of a basic white card base. Again, 4.25 by 5.5 when it's folded and scored. And I think maybe I will put, I think maybe I want to put the flowers on top this time. So I'm going to go that way. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in my liquid adhesive, and I'm just going to kind of put some adhesive down. Now, usually I tell you to put it on the back of your DSP, but because I'm covering the entire front of my card, I'm okay with just putting it down on my card front. Okay, so I'm going to start with the top one, and I'm going to line it up the best I can with that top edges and corners, and being liquid adhesive, I've got a little bit of time to do a little wiggle work. And then I'm going to put this one in, and again, I cut them at the same time, so they should match. And I'm just going to put that on the bottom. Now, some people say that's the hardest part of the card. Okay, well, you just saw it wasn't that hard. It's pretty simple, right? I just marked my paper with a little pencil, put it on there, cut the 2 at the same time, and now I've got 2 sections for the front of my card. Okay, so then what I decided to do was I decided to use my stitched Whimsy die. And I took a piece of basic white and I did the Stitch Whimsy die. Now, you know, when these come out, I have another one, different size. When these come out, they're not die cut around the edges. But I decided I wanted it die cut around the edges. So what I did was I used my paper snips and I just trimmed it around the edge. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this smaller one, which I'm going to use for my sentiment. But just look how easy it is with your paper snips. You just come in and I can see the edge around where that stitched edge got dyed cut in there, and so I can just use my paper snips and trim it out. So now if I was making, you know, 50 of them, I might not want to do this. I might want to pick a different die that does the cutting and the stitching, but if I want something different than everything else and I'm only making a couple of cards, all right, I don't mind getting out my paper snips and trimming out to make some custom dies and shapes for my card projects. So that's how I achieved that whimsical die stitch look, but also with it, I die cut around the outline. Okay, so there's that. So one's going to be my sentiment and one's going to be kind of my focal image. Now what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've stamped some images. I've stamped my bunny, and I've die cut my bunny. I've stamped some flowers, and I've die cut the flowers with the coordinating die. I also, from some crumb cake, I did the little die that's the little tree stump. I did some mossy meadow of the little grasses. Okay, and then I've also die cut a few just whisper white clouds. Now, I've done all that ahead of time just because that takes a lot of time to run that through the cutter. Not that it's difficult, it's just time consuming, and you don't need to see me do that. You all know how to use your cutting machines. So I bought all these die cut pieces. So I'm going to make my little scene here on my card. So I think the first thing I want to do is maybe stamp my Oh Happy Day sentiment. So I'm going to use my StazOn, and I'm just going to stamp my Oh Happy Day. Give that a little test again. Okay, so now I'm going to stamp my Oh Happy Day. I'm going to stamp it this way, and I can see through my block, so I can position that on my die. So I've got my little sentiment ready. And then I'm going to add a little bit of color to my die cuts here, just to brighten it up. So I'm using Blushing Bride as my coordinating pink, which is the color in the papers. Okay, and it's nice that my flowers in my paper are also the pink, so that makes that really coordinated quite well. So I'm just going to add a little bit of color with my Stampin' Right markers. Now, if you've got blends, you can use those. I know a lot of us are in love with our blends, but I found that recently I'm going back to my markers because I don't have all the blends in my colors, and I'm starting to use colors again that I don't have there. So I'm going back to my markers. So remember, when you're using marker, you want to stamp with the StazOn, not the Memento. The Memento is for the alcohol ink, the StazOn is for the watercolor ink. Okay? And that's what the markers are. The Stampin' Right markers are watercolor ink. Okay, so I'm going to do, I've got one of these already done. So there's one that's already done, but I'm just going to do two more. I think I want to do 3 in my little image here. So you can see how quickly I can just add my color in. So there's my Blushing Bride, and then I'm going with Old Olive for my ink, even though it's Mossy Meadow in the paper. I thought Mossy Meadow ink was a little bit darker than I wanted, so I'm just going to use the coordinating Old Olive color to get my green leaves in there. So these dies all coordinated with the set, and they come as a bundle if you get them at the same time. Okay, so I've got some flowers, I got my bunny. Let's add a little bit of shading to our bunny. So I think maybe I'm going to give him a little balmy blue rain jacket, because we've got balmy blue little dots in our paper here, so that's kind of like our third color, right? Often I say I stamp with 3 colors. So today I've got the green, the pink, and the blue. I'm going to give our little bunny a blue rain jacket. I'm just going to color that right on in. Try to stay in my lines. Give my little bunny like that, and then I'm going to do his little nose with my pink, right? Maybe I'll just do the tips of his ears in a little cheek color, and maybe the tips of his toes. So just a little bit of fun color on there with him. Alright, so let's go ahead and make our card. So I'm going to go ahead, because I'm going to have all that stuff probably popped up a little bit, I'm just going to put this one right down with my liquid adhesive. So this is my frame in the center of my sketch. Okay, and then let's see, I think I'm going to put Oh Happy Day, I'll put it there. Alright, so I'm going to pop that up on dimensionals, because then if I want to tuck a little above or behind him, I've got space to work around. So I'm just going to put that down, just kind of lightly, just in case I decide I need to bring them up real quick. Alright, I've got my little bunny, so let's get our bunny down. So I put a dimensional on the back of my bunny. I'm not going to pull the sticker off that one yet. I'm just going to kind of put him on here. So like I said, I've got some clouds. Alright, so those are going to go up high. And I've got my little tree, just kind of create some scenery here. And I've got my flowers, so my flowers can kind of go all around, like he's dancing in the field of flowers. So I really should probably put those on maybe first. Alright, so let's put some liquid adhesive on the back of our flowers. Stick the flowers in. Alright, just kind of continuing this theme of a field of flowers from the DSP right onto the front of our card. I'll put the stump up on a dimensional as well. Maybe I'll bring that in here. And then I'll put these last ones down here at the bottom. Just kind of right in like that. Okay, my bunny's going to go on. Bunny's romping through the flowers. Hippity hop, hippity hop. Kind of put him a little... No, I want him on top. Okay, hippity hop, hippity hop. So all that's down. Got my little puffy clouds. So this is fun, right? You can kind of make a scenic card out of all these little parts and pieces. Have some fun. That one's sticking to my finger. Let's see if I can get it off. Okay, so let's do some sunny day clouds. You can kind of overlap however you want to do them. Doesn't really matter. Right? I'm sure I didn't put them down the same any time at all. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of green here, glue in the back, and I'm just going to stick these in just as kind of some extra background texture. So my son is all about adding detail to his drawings when he wants to draw. So he tells me that if he draws a mountain, then he's got to do the horizon behind it. He wants to add all these little bits and pieces. So we're going to add all our little bits and pieces too. Maybe that'll be it. Okay, so what do you think? There we go. So again, I used the Playing in the Rain bundle. I used the Casing Tuesday sketch, right? And I used my Wishes Awash and Beauty DSP to do my background. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick little fun scenic tutorial. You can use my links, hop on over to Vlog, see all the details and products I used, find the link to hop back to the Facebook group that does the Casing Tuesday sketches, and you can leave me comments here. Remember to subscribe to my channel so you see all my fun projects I share, and you can also subscribe to my newsletter so you don't miss anything out that's going on in the Stampin' Up! World. Alright guys, I hope you have a great day, do some fun stamping, and if you give this a try, let me know. I encourage you to. Have a great day. Bye.